guys feel it? It's that time of year when summer isn't quite over, but from a distance we can see the spooky season on the horizon. This time of year requires a certain type of movie. A movie that pairs the summer heat with fall ambitions. So that brought us to a fun little film that not many talk about, but the ones who do generally praise. The 2018 suspense horror, Summer of '84. A simple tale of a group of teenagers who believe their neighbor is a serial killer, who also happens to be a cop. I don't know what it is about this flick, but it's so hard to hate. Many times film and television do a poor job at executing believable portrayals of teenagers. I believe Summer of '84 knocks it out the park and delivers one of the most underrated portrayals of kids in horror. I must say, I highly recommend watching this movie before listening to the episode because there are some spoilers ahead. So if you've already seen it, or you just like living balls to the wall, get ready, because the heat is on. Here is our take on Summer of '84. Boom! Welcome to the Sloppy Horror Podcast. I am your host and your scary movie companion, Christian Ramey, and back again for another week clapping them cheeks, the best producer in the whole wide world, Mr. Ozark Mark. Mr. Ozark, how you feeling down there today?
I'm clapping cheeks. I am right back up in your ass.
That's right.
Right here with you for the second milestone here in the sloppy road to Halloween. Hey, we're in it. We're in mile number 2. We're starting to get into the thickness of it. We're starting to see the thick, scary, spooky stuff on the horizon here on this little scenic route we're taking right now because it's summer. But you picked a very good one here this week, Mr. Christian Ramey. Fairly new one, too. This is only a 4-year-old movie.
Was it 2018?
I think it was 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So this is quite a treat here. We haven't done anything this recent before. So I think this is a movie that a lot of people are not familiar with. So this is going to be exciting. You know? So what are we talking about?
Folks, we're talking about Pixar's new movie, Lightyear. Or not, folks. What we are talking about is the Summer of '84. I've talked about this before. '84 is a really crazy year, so they were smart in what they picked. It made sense. But this is a little movie. It's got, Stranger Things vibes to it. It's a group of kids. They find... They get keen to that their neighbor may be a serial killer. And he's a police officer. So this whole time, these kids are trying to find clues and trying to set this guy up. You don't know if he is the killer until there's a grand reveal at the end. Spoiler alert, he's the killer. The cop is the killer, okay? It's a fun time. It's really fun watching these kids. I mean, it's a very basic and easy explanation, but we'll go in greater detail about, there's scenes in the movie, but if you haven't seen this one, I know a lot of you have, but if you haven't, check it out. I think it's on Shudder still. That's where I watched it.
If you haven't seen it, stop right now. Go to Shudder. If you don't have Shudder, get a free trial or something. Go watch it before you, so just in case you don't want anything spoiled here.
Yeah, forget everything I just said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, folks, this is what's going on. The summer's not over yet, even though we're on the road to Halloween. These little 10 weeks, it'll go from, sweating your ass off to wearing sweatshirts. And that's what we're here for. And we need to ring out summer the right way. And I figured this is the right way to do it. I don't know. There's some good kills in it. There's some pretty climactic situations. You're wondering the whole time, really, who the hell is this killer? What's going on? Are these kids stupid or are they on to something? Mark, I'm assuming, like you said, this is the first time you've seen this?
Yes. This is the first time I've seen it, heard of it. Great watch. It kept my attention the entire way of the movie. It's the classic. You've seen this story before. Group of friends, kids during summer. They all have to overcome this situation. I mean, it works. This is a formula that's been working for years and years and years, and it never gets old. especially with kids in horror movies, you know. And it's better for when they're like kids who actually talk like kids.
Exactly.
So cussing, you know, breaking each other's balls.
Perverted.
Absolutely perverted. Spying on hot girls in their window. Okay, this is things that boys did.
Realistic.
Yes, very realistic. And I think, you know, a lot of people love these kinds of movies because it brings them back to when they were a kid. Seeing the kids in the movie, and
I was a boy.
Yeah, and everybody likes seeing kids, you know, overcome the adults telling them they're crazy and proving it. So I mean, you get all of this in the movie. It's a great watch for. I mean, really, you could watch this with almost anybody, I believe. There's some cursing and things like that, but I mean, all in all, there's no really anything scary until like, you know, the very end. And it's not even real violent.
I had this on with my lady.
Yeah.
And she said the same thing. She's like, because she was just playing like solitaire or some shit on her phone, something boring and dumb. But she was like half-ass watching it, which I didn't care. We had to watch it, so just doing what I had to do. Starts to turn up at the end, right? And she's like, you know I don't like to watch stuff like this, and you always put shit like this on when it's time for bed, and I don't like watching this. And I was like, it's not even that bad.
It really isn't. It really isn't. I mean,
she's my ultimate fear gauge, because it's like, it's so funny watching a movie with her, because she's like, fucking, I can't do this. My anxiety right now, my heart is up, I'm supposed to be relaxing. You're like, oh, Jesus, I'm sorry.
Does a great job though with the build. It builds the entire movie as a build up to like the final like 15 minutes.
The final countdown.
Which it is worth it. So I know we're only very early into the episode, but I got to talk about how this movie ended if we can.
For sure, dude. The one thing I really enjoyed is because the whole movie felt like a trope. And then sometimes there's very rarely, I briefly mentioned this in the intro, but when you can turn a trope on itself and play a trope on itself, because the whole time you're thinking it's going to go away and you're thinking it's going to end and these boys are going to be the hero. And like, I love when there's a dash of fuck you in a movie, because like, even though it sits with you, even me like it, but that's kind of like something that moves you a bit where you're like, fuck, I was not expecting that. Like, I want something to, or your brain wants it to be comfortable. You want it to like, oh, this is the end and this is how, but then it's just like, nah.
No, that's not how it ended. So, basically what happens is you know, he finally gets the courage. He gets his dad's camcorder from the news station or whatever, right? And he goes in there with his buddy Woody and the girl he's got a crush on, and they go down, finally break into his basement, and they discover that he is actually the serial killer that they think he is. So they film everything. They take it to the cops. The cops, you know, put an APB out on the guy. They're like, don't worry, we'll find him. So it's all ending like him and his friend are in bed, and they're all heroes and all that stuff, and they go to bed. And all of a sudden, you see their attic stairs just come down.
That was pretty sweet.
Reminded me a lot of Black Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, and also if you have a attic that has stairs, this movie will fuck you up a little bit.
Probably, okay. Yeah. You're not gonna like that part.
No, you're not.
Yeah. It was very eerie.
It was very eerie, but
because you're like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, but the killer, basically the killer chloroforms both the boys, takes them to like an island almost, and plays Manhunt with them. Now, Manhunt is a game that they play throughout the movie. It's like,
a glorified hide and seek, if you will.
Mm-hmm, pretty much. So it turns, he's hunting them or whatever, and what's the main kid's name again?
Davy.
Okay, I'm sorry. Davy. It's Davy and Woody, his best friend Woody. So they're trying to run from this guy, but everywhere they go, it's just water. So they're almost fucked. But they split up. Killer cuts the Achilles of David. Why do they always continue to do this in movies? Kill Bill has ruined all these movies. Does that make you cringe when you watch somebody's Achilles
it's
get
even
cut?
before then. Like, think Pet Sematary.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it's an effective... It gets you.
But he cuts him, so now he's limping and he's out the game. So, but I did not expect Woody to die.
I know.
But he slits Woody's throat right as he tried to get back to the cop car. He's dead. Mm-hmm. So then now you're thinking, like, how is this kid gonna get out of this? Like, I'm thinking that the kid's gonna die too. Davy's gonna die because he's got a fucked up ankle. He can't walk, and he's a little boy against a full-grown man. But what they did was the killer grabs Davy, and he does some spiel about how he ruined his life or whatever. He's like, there's nothing I want to do more than kill you. But he's like, one day I'll be back for you. He's like, I want to ruin your life like you did mine. And that's eerie. So he lets the boy live, but he tells him, like, I'm going to come back for you. That's eerie.
Yeah, dude.
That's a cool little ending, though.
It's
a very non-traditional, unsatisfying ending, too. So like you said, it kind of, flips the script a little bit on what you expect.
Yeah, and it starts small because, we'll rewind to, like, towards the beginning of the movie. These kids are all playing Manhunt, and just, like, to break down the friend group, though, actually first, like, Davy's kind of, like, the conspiracy nut out of all of his friends, and he's all, everybody kind of teases him because he delivers newspapers, so he's always clipping newspaper articles with weird shit about aliens. He's really into conspiracy stuff. Rest of his friends are more level-headed. Eats is kind of like the white trash John Bender, Breakfast Club kind of character. Woody's just kind of the big kid. He's fun, though. He's honestly like the realest friend out of all of them.
I know. Everybody needs a friend like Woody.
Yeah, what was the other kid's last name? That's what they called him.
The nerd one?
Faraday? Yeah, Faraday. That was the other kid's name. Well, anyways, they all play this game Manhunt, like we said. It's like a hide-and-go-seek. They all got flashlights, shit like that. But while they're playing, while Davy's hiding, he sees there's a kid inside of this police officer who is his neighbor's house. And this dude lives alone. And it just kind of threw him off because kids have gone missing. So he started to get weirded out. But then he saw on a milk carton a few days later that was the same boy that was in old boy's house. And he's like, fuck, I know it's him. I know it's this dude. So, like, he keeps trying to get dirt on this dude. And speaking of dirt, they start spying on this guy. And they start realizing that this guy's buying, like, hundreds of pounds of dirt every fucking week from the hardware store. Start spying on him more. They find out that he has a fucking storage unit with, like, a secret car where he's storing, like, more dirt and, like, sulfuric acid and shit. Or I forget what it was. Some crazy shit. So they keep building up all these clues. And then, like, when they finally get the courage to tell their parents are just pull the, like, you're fucking crazy. Don't be spying on your neighbor. He's a cop. What, are you crazy? And they're like, no, that's why it's perfect, because he is a cop. So they make him go next door and confess to the guy.
That was an unsettling part, too. You felt nervous for them. Like, oh, shit.
What's really fucked is after they bring him home, first off, there would be police surveillance around their house the whole time. Like, they would not have police surveillance around those kids. Like, if that dude was still on the run, like, those are suspects there. Those are, like, victims, possible victims number 1 and 2. So, like, they're gonna fucking be around them. But can you imagine, like, being the parents, just like, all right, then you're gonna take another kid in and let him sleep at your house, and that kid ends up fucking dying?
Because of you? Ooh.
Yeah, dude. Like, that's like a deeper situation that you don't think about.
Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you something, Ozark Mark. What was your favorite part of this movie?
When they finally break into his basement room with the lock on it.
You like that?
Yeah, well, because that's what the whole movie's built up to be. Yeah. Ever since when he's delivering paper and he asks Davey to go down and help him with something inside, just moving a desk or whatever, and you finally see the basement. He's got a red room for photography or whatever. But you see that door with the lock on it. Now, something suspicious. Anybody who has a door with a lock on it in their own house, who lives by themselves, that's not good. Like, there's nothing good behind that door.
Yeah.
Why would you need a lock on it? You live by yourself. Like, something is over there that you don't want anybody to see. So you see that at the beginning of the movie, and then, they start smiling on him or whatever, and you're, like, just sitting here the whole time. It's like, well, y'all just you got a schedule. Just break in there and, like, get to the fucking room. Like, that's what you need to do. Like, stop digging in his yard. Stop going through his trash. You already know where you need to fucking go.
Go down there, you little
Go
fucks.
down there. So they finally go down there, and really creepy finding of basically it's like a room with pictures of his childhood or something. I don't know what it is, but
it's like a weird 1950s looking room.
Yeah, very creepy, very eerie. But then there's another door in there that leads to the bathroom. So then they lead to the bathroom, and then you finally see a decaying body in the tub.
Yeah, fucking just like decomposing there.
And then they all start freaking out, and then we're finally getting into the horror aspect of it, and then they find a boy who's down there duct taped, and they get him
fucking
out.
Grabs him like,
like, get me the fuck out of here.
Very People of the Stairs like.
Yeah, so it was cool seeing that finally satisfying moment. That and also find all the pictures, him also realizing before they leave, all the pictures in his house are not pictures of his family, it's all pictures of the kids that he have killed, which they found in the library,
All his victims.
Yeah. And one of those kids' pictures was actually
of Davy.
Of Davy. Yep, Davy was the next victim. And a fun little fact here that you may or may not know.
Spill it.
That one of those photos is actual real-life victim of John Wayne Gacy.
That's a little fucked.
That is very fucked.
But, kind of cool and creepy to know.
Yeah. What about you, Christian Ramey? Do you have a favorite part?
There was a lot of parts that I enjoyed. Like, that was a thing, like peeping through windows and, like, communicating with your friends, like, late in many ways that you could. And that was kind of a fun aspect. One of the coolest parts, though, is because, like, the whole movie is, like, predicated on them spying on everybody. Like, the girl, they just kind of candidly see. They see her across the way, and they're like, oh, shit. But the dude has a crush on her, so he's, like, respectful. But he's looking through. He's always spying on the fucking cop. He's looking at his neighbor. Well, one time when he's spying at him, he looks and sees the fucking cop looking at him with binoculars, and it's like, fuck, dude, he just, like, he hit the dirt. That moment kind of hit me, like, you're just like, fuck, dude.
No, that's when it starts to get real, was that moment, because they also took them walkie-talkies over there, trying to put a walkie-talkie up to his bedroom window to try and listen to him. So he goes over there trying to, try to adjust it, but the cop's there, so, Buddy goes, talking about walkie-talkies and stuff, and his walkie-talkie goes off while he's walking away. So obviously the cop, he knows about walkie-talkies. So when he sees him staring at him, he's also got that walkie that he planted right in his window for him to see it. Let him know. You ain't slick, Rick.
That's fucked, dude.
It is fucked.
Were you thinking it was the cop, or were you thinking he was too obvious throughout the movie?
No, I was thinking it was the cop the whole time, because as soon as there was a scene where there's just random kids playing in this cul-de-sac street. They're playing like pickleball or something. I don't know what the hell they're playing, but they're playing something. And the cop is just sitting on his front lawn with a beer, just watching these kids. And he's like, anybody want a popsicle? Come get them, And then he's just staring at him. He's like, oh, that dude's a killer, obviously.
Yep.
Nobody does that.
Yeah, don't give popsicles to kids and shit.
No, absolutely not. But
the only people that give popsicles to kids are teachers and ice cream men.
Right.
That's the only acceptable answers.
Yeah, but thinking about it through the entire movie, there is no other possibility. They don't hint at anything other, even like a little hint. Like, they don't hint at any other person besides that cop.
Yeah, it was like a buildup of either it is or it isn't this guy. Is exactly what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I really agree with you. I thought they did a great job at, like, breaking down the vernacular that kids use at that age. I very much felt 15 years old watching this. Just, that's how it was. And it reminded you of what it was like the early days of porno. You had to sneak mags, get, pictures. I had to look at naked pictures. It was fucking horse shit.
You know, but that's what you had to do back then, man. It's just what it was.
Yep. Stealing the car, that was funny too. When they take the car and make Woody drive. He's like, dude, shut up. You look 40. Just go.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he's like, shut up. You guys are dicks. Like, that's how boys talk to each other.
It is. But
Yeah.
they're all like friends.
Yeah.
I like when Davey was about to sneak into his house when he thought that they were running some covert op because they knew the cop wasn't home, and they're like, we're going to sneak in, try to get to the basement. And he went in the first time, and he looked at Woody, and he says, all right, stay here, call, let me know if you hear anything. And Woody just starts to put his leg in, and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm not going to let my friend go into a serial killer's house by himself. It was like, that's bro code, bro. Like, even out of fear, it makes sense. You're just like, yeah, man, like, even little dudes, just like, no man left behind. You just can't, dude. You can't leave your bows behind. Like, you just can't.
Oh, man, that's why it sucked that Woody died, because he's, like, such a real cool friend, and he was going through that situation with his mom, too, which I like how they just gave you a little bit insight of each of their lives, but nothing, like, just enough for you to understand a little bit more about them. Like, none of it really affected the story, but you felt like you kind of knew them a little bit better when they showed that stuff. Like, obviously, something was wrong with Woody's mom. The other kids' parents were always fighting all the time, so it explains why he was a rebel.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Trying to do that, so, I liked how they did that, too.
It's a nice little touch for everybody to have.
I kind of wish we were born like 10 years earlier than when we were. Because it'd be cool in the summer in the 80s, just going around with your friends, playing fucking Manhunt or some shit. Like, those were the best days.
I'm glad that we got some of that in the 90s.
We got a little bit of it. Like, Ghosts in the Graveyard and things like that. But once technology.
Murder Your Neighbor. That one was fun, where you just like killed your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Threw him in the dumpster.
Yep. Mm-hmm. No, wait, you're not supposed to talk about that game.
Sorry. Yeah, honestly, too, I like visceral horror movies. I like stuff that's kind of in your face. This almost like feels like a movie that maybe I shouldn't. People would be surprised that I would like. But they got a lot of synth going on in this music, a lot of like 80s synth wave kind of stuff. And I love that feel, man. I don't care if it's a Stand By Me, the Goonies, the Lost Boys. It's just hard not to like that. Even the It movies. It's just cool to see kids coming together because it makes it scarier because, a kid doesn't have the strength of an adult. And like, if an adult reaches his or her demise, you're like, all right, well, you kind of had your little life even if you were younger, but like, you probably did something stupid or shitty that put you in that situation. But if a kid makes a mistake, you're like, well, he's just a fucking kid, dude. Like, he didn't mean it. So, like, you get another sense of fear because after Davy's parents make them confront Officer Mackey next door and say, like, hey, it's been us that went through your trash, that dug through your garden, and we thought it was because you're the fucking serial killer that's been going around. And he played it off like, ha, 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 ha. Well, like, the next day, he shows up to Davy's house and, like, knocks on his fucking door. And he's like, are we good? I just don't want to make sure there's no bad blood. But it's, like, really creepy. And he calls him, or he steps in, and he was like, I hope that we're cool. And Davy said, yesterday you said you would call your nephew because they thought the milk carton boy was dead, which he was. But they found a shirt in the garage, and it was bloody. And they said, well, what about this bloody shirt? And he said, oh, that was my nephew. He came over last week, and he cut himself while he was hammering nails. I'll call him, and we can settle the whole thing. So Davy has him call him in his house, doesn't pick up. He's like, all right, whatever. Well, as soon as dude leaves, Davy calls the operator and said, what was the last number dialed from this house? Looks up the number. Dude dialed his own number. He didn't call his nephew. So Davy's really freaking out at this point because this motherfucker was just in his house. And it was creepy because Davy got a fucking knife before he gave him the phone. He was ready for that Action Jackson. He's like, I'm gonna fucking stab you, man. You know what the number one defense is against a blade?
Gun?
No. Like defense just against a blade.
No.
Distance.
No?
For real, though.
Okay, well,
Like,
yeah, I mean,
if-
that makes complete sense, yes.
If like you see like a guy wielding a machete, like going crazy, just get as far away as you can.
Yep.
If somebody comes out with a knife, because like knife wounds are really hard to heal, the doctors say. Like a gunshot's easier to heal. A gun, somebody can like hammer in on you even with some distance. I mean, quite some distance depending on the gun. But a knife, man, you just get the fuck away. Just run. Somebody's going crazy with a knife, you're not looking like a bitch if you run. I promise. Okay? Unless you're saving a baby or a woman or someone else who's weaker than, get out of there, bro. Don't fight a knife.
I don't fuck with no knives now.
Yeah. So, you know, my man came at him with a knife. I don't know, man. What's really freaky, too, is they give you a little, it shows you one of the boys that's kidnapped. It shows this, like, teenage boy leaving his house at nighttime, and then all of a sudden he sees somebody trailing him, and he just starts running, dude. He just starts fucking running, and then boom, he gets knocked out and kidnapped and put in a car. But that was kind of freaky because that kid knew ASAP. You know that feeling where you feel like somebody's watching you or somebody's on you and he just took off. And like everybody knows that feeling as a teenager or even younger where you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, man, but he stopped, though. Like, he didn't even run that far. Like, he ran, like, down a street, and he's like, all right, guess I'm good. Nah, you keep running.
You got to put on the...
You got to put them roller skates on, boy, and boogie, and you got to get the fuck out of there.
Boogie. Yeah, get out of there, dude. That's a for sure. That's a for sure. But I could see certain kids having that happen to them. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Yep. I like how after they confronted him and made the boys confess that they thought he was the killer, he went and caught. So he goes and arrests somebody who they think is the killer, who he thinks is the killer. The cop does, just to get him off this trail. But maybe he ain't having it. He's like, that motherfucker.
He knows.
And it's eerie just sitting there watching him on the TV. They do a good job.
I think
making
that's
it eerie and make it unsettling, though. You know.
I like how his boys had his back too, though. They were like, "All right, man, you seem serious. Like, you saw the kid. We're gonna figure it out." Like, if your dude tells you something, you're like, "Are you serious, man?" He's like, "I'm serious this time. There's a kid over there." You're like, "All right, man, we'll break into his house. We'll commit felonies to figure this out." You'd be a hero, though, or you'd be dead. This is a total perfect setup for a sequel. Am I wrong?
I don't know.
This guy's still on the loose.
It has to be. And it has to be like, I don't know, like 10, 20 years later or something.
Ooh, what about 94?
Summer of
98.
94?
What about 98?
Why would it be 98?
I don't know. It just feels better.
Okay, we'll make it the summer of 98.
Winter of 98. He's come back to blow out your butthole. Yep. Yeah. How old would Davey have been in 98?
I don't know.
He
how
was
old-
15.
He was 15 in 84.
Yeah.
So that is 12 years later. So it'd be 27.
That's not 12 years later.
14 years later. So he would be
29.
29.
Oh, he'd be more equipped to fight.
He would, and it would be a lot more intense.
Wonder if they're just waiting for those actors to get older.
They could be, but you would have to wait 29 years.
Nah, dog. I think they're already like 21 now. Which gives us like 8 more years.
Okay.
8 more years,
I mean-
and then it'll be the winter of, 98. He comes back to blow out your back.
I would watch a sequel to this. for
I would
sure.
too, because he's got to be out there, dude.
He has to be.
Or even if it was new kids. And then, you just didn't show Davey yet. And then Davey comes back in the third one after, 6 years, so we can, he has a beard. At that point, you're like, oh, shit.
Now, Davey just has to team up with the new kids.
Yeah.
Or something like that. How would you get away? Where would that guy go? Do you think they put a nationwide hunt out on him? Or just in that town?
Yeah, but it's 84.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is he on national? You think he was on national news or just local news?
For sure. First local, then national.
Okay.
Yeah, that was he was probably one of them creepy stories we heard when we were kids, when we heard Robert Stacks on Unsolved Mysteries or like America's Most Wanted. You remember how freaky them shows used to be?
Unsolved Mysteries.
You're like, I'm supposed to solve it?
He was found in a wooded area.
If you see this man, you're like, fuck, I'm supposed to be looking? I'm like, oh no, is he around? This isn't a show for kids to be watching.
Is that show still on?
Nah, I don't think so. America's Most Wanted or Unsolved Mysteries. I don't think so.
There was an Unsolved Mysteries reboot on Netflix. I remember that, but not America's Most Wanted.
What was that dude's name?
Whoa. The host?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know.
I've got to look that
But
up.
he didn't look like he aged ever. He's just old for like 20 years.
Yeah, that was a good show, though. I'm not going to lie to you. It scared me, but it was a good show. All right, John Walsh. John Walsh.
The Walsh Man.
Mr. Walsh.
The big mad Walsh Man.
Yeah.
Here to tell you about the criminals.
The washing machine. Tell us who's scary.
The washing machine.
That's-
Man's a washing machine. Wow. Let's find out some stuff about this movie, shall we?
I guess we should.
Ah, welcome to the What Do You Know? Yeah, this is a segment here where we have to tell you something that you may or may not know about this movie. Now, this is your first time here. This is how it's going to go. We're going to tell you things we know about this movie. Now, you may not know what we know, but you're about to find out what we know. But if you know what we know, we're going to know together, and you're going to have a we know-gasm either way. So, I'm going to start off here and tell you something that I may or may not know about this movie here. So check it out. So this movie is called The Summer of 84, right? Okay, so that means 1984 is when this movie is supposed to take place, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a few inconsistencies that they, throughout this movie.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. First of all, they use the term ginger, okay?
That hurts my feelings.
I know it does, but that wasn't a thing in 84.
It doesn't.
Doesn't matter. They don't say that too. Number two, take a chill pill. Yo, nobody said that in the 80s for us. No, that didn't happen yet.
A little before its time.
Little bit before its time, but what are you gonna do? Also, Budweiser wasn't a thing.
Or the bottle that they had. Yeah, that was different.
That was very
I
different.
thought that looked weird.
That was not an 84 bottle for sure. So, there's a little bit of other things, though, if you want to look deep into it. But those are the main things, that stick out, that are not supposed to fit into 1984. Boom. That's right up in your ass there. That you did not know. All up in your cornhole.
Let me tell you something here. There was a part where these young men are drinking liquor up in the treehouse. They're drinking a little bottle of whiskey. They're passing it around. They're cleansing their palates. They're realizing, to drink this shit, it's got to take some, I got to be able to chest this down. The name on that liquor bottle was McCready's Whiskey. And that was a nice little nod to R.J. McCready from The Thing. A movie we all like, and if you remember, he was drinking scotch the whole time. He was up in his own little lair drinking scotch, being cool as shit in The Thing. So that's what that's all about. So there you go. It's a nice little fact for you.
Holy shit, I didn't know that. I did not catch that.
The Thing. Did you catch The Thing? What thing?
They were drinking the thing.
They were drinking the stuff from The Thing.
Yeah.
It was the same stuff from The Thing. Come on, I can't explain it no better.
Oh, man.
I tells the guys the stuff from The
Well,
Thing.
Yeah. Do you know anything else about this movie here?
I think that's it. That's a nice little things that these folks didn't know.
I know. Hey, it's a newer movie, so there's not gonna be so many facts that are at least interesting But there are some things, okay? There are some things. So, you know a little bit more than you did before. Now, how do you feel about that?
A little bit smarter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Goodbye.
Mark.
Yes.
Now, we were talking about Woody being a good friend.
Correct.
Let's not leave out Davy here, and I'm going to explain why.
Okay.
There's a scene after they're chloroformed and they wake up blindfolded with their hands tied behind their backs in a car. Now, it's kind of tied loosely, like they were meant to escape. Davy wakes up, he wakes up Woody, they free themselves, they kind of go back to back, they untie each other's hands, from restraints. They free themselves. Well, as soon as they get free, shit starts getting thrown at the fucking car. They realize they gotta go. And then all of a sudden, the killer dude pops up on the side of the car, and they have to run. So they start running. Woody is a big kid, all right? Woody is the big friend. He's a big guy. Davy is a small, young fella. He's small and fit, if you will. When they take out of the car, Davy pushes Woody first and lets him run first. And he's bigger. Now that's a good friend.
Yes.
Because what's the old-fashioned, as long as you're faster, you're in good shape. And he didn't. He didn't make that choice. Now eventually he took off. But at first, he took the weight of the load. He says, look here, I'll take the back. I'll be the caboose. And if that fucker comes at me, I'll fight him. I will fight him. Now, can we replay some murder scenarios in here? How many are we dealing with here? Definitely Davy. Definitely some dead bodies. Woody is the death that we had.
Yeah, Woody's the only death on screen.
Okay. I had to jog that in my memory.
But it did its job. It's really the only one you needed. That one hurt the most.
I thought you would have liked when the cop pulled them over, because they all convinced Woody to drive, and they're not old enough, and then they get pulled over, and they're like, fuck, they think it's Officer Mackey.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's this other cop, and he's goes to church with dude's mom, and he's just chill as fuck, and he's like, it just made you realize how simpler times were, because you just let him drive off.
I know.
There's no body cam or anything, just you boys get out of here.
It's how am I supposed to look your mother in the eye at church?
I'm sorry.
It's no, I'm so sorry.
I know that he was the saddest death.
And speaking of which, the killer is a cop. How do people not tell when they're being followed? I pick it up, honest. Even if I'm driving for a while and I've noticed a car has been behind me for a long time, I'll make a random turn just to see, just to make sure. I'm in they're 14-year-old, 15-year-old kids. They cannot be that good at tailing.
No, it's just first time driving.
Who's supposed to be aware of it?
You just got to do 4 right turns. Got to 4 left turns. Figure out
4 left turns.
Left turns. I would have tried to, break into that storage unit and see what was all in there too. Me personally.
Yeah. Well, they already did see. I mean,
kinda. Not everything though.
I guess.
Why'd they dress that one little boy like Jeffrey Dahmer? With the glasses.
Because that was the look.
All right. Well, he looked like a killer.
He did look like a killer.
He looked like a little murderer.
Maybe later, he'll be sexually frustrated and, maybe that was Jeffrey Dahmer as a kid. Maybe all this shit fucked him up.
Maybe he'll be the one that can, kill the guy when he comes back. Because you got to think, Eats, Faraday, and Davy, they're still alive. So they got to be ready to throw down against this psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's coming back. And I'm looking forward. This is a sequel that I would look forward to because it was honestly and genuinely set up. It's not like they just oh yeah, by the way, in the last one, what you didn't notice is he actually fell through a back door. And you're like, wait, what? How did this work? You know, like they always come with some tricky bullshit or like weird way to rope them in. Like, oh, the last one was just a dream. The ending. Or like to like fuck you up that way. This was a true setup for a good sequel. I'll have to look into that because I haven't seen anything. But they should fucking make one, dude. Because if they don't, look, I'm going to tell you what. I'll find the people who made it, and I'll fight them. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, that's fun.
Look, I'm going to look it up right now.
I'm going to look it up on the intranet because I'm an intelligent person, and I know things.
Look, it's not good. Oh, okay, look.
What?
It says, some fans have even suggested a premise of the title, Summer of 94. I don't know. It looks like there's talks of it, but nothing official yet. So some talks, so...
Well, I'm sure. I mean, it's a shame it's just on Shudder because I think this could be a very popular mainstream movie if it hit Netflix. I feel like a lot of teenagers and stuff could get into this.
I think so,
honestly. But, you know, a lot of people, only real horror community people and real fans of horror have Shudder.
Well, maybe that's what we're doing right here. We're helping influence the crowd because I'm sure all of our listeners every week don't have Shudder.
No.
Pirate this movie if you have to.
Yeah, I'm telling you. But I bet you if this dropped on Netflix, they would already be making a sequel.
True.
Probably, but it's a very enjoyable movie, and especially it's hitting that 80s vibe, especially because that Stranger Things has taken over Netflix and all that stuff. So this would fit right into it.
Right into that wheelhouse.
Into the fucking world.
Right in that road to Halloween.
Sloppy road to Halloween.
We're on the sloppy road to Halloween.
We're about to do a sloppy horror rating, though. Check this shit out.
Whoa.
Sloppy horror rating, baby, yeah! Hoya! Welcome to the sloppy horror rating system segment that we have here, okay? This is where we rate a horror movie. Not me, but he, Mr. Christian Raimi. And he's going to do this as a horror movie, not a movie in general. So keep that in mind, you little fucking assholes. Okay? I don't want to hear no bitching that you don't like the score. It's based on a horror movie, not a movie in general. Okay?
Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh, yeah. We're going to do this on a series of 4 categories. 3 of the categories are worth 3 points. Last category is worth 1 point for a total of
10 points altogether.
That's correct.
That's fair.
So, that's some good audio for you.
Crunching.
Let's get into the first category here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is casting.
So there's nobody really knowing this, but everybody crushed it. It doesn't feel like a movie with shitty actors at all. Like, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't fit. Not enough to be a 3 for sure, but I'm thinking a 2. Does that sound fair to you? Because it's not shitty acting. I think all of these people, I think the main kid, Davey, he went on to do some other shit. I feel like these people are up-and-coming actors. Me personally.
I think so, but it makes it better, too, because you don't recognize anybody major. And that's always refreshing sometimes when you don't recognize any of the actors whatsoever. Also, it fit. I mean, they picked good people to fit the parts. I mean, Davey's parents, Davey's dad, straight up looked like a dad from the 80s. Everything and all that. The killer, Mr. Mackey, definitely looked like a serial killer.
I hope he was a nod to Mr. Mackey from South Park. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But like,
I hope so.
Jokes are bad.
But yeah, I mean, I'll be fine with a 2. I mean, you can only go so high when you don't have a superstar in there. Mm-hmm. You know, but everybody worked. Everybody was believable. Everybody fit the part. So, you know, I didn't see any shitty acting. I wasn't watching this movie be like, okay, this is getting kind of cheesy. Not at all. So that's 2. So that's 2 so far here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Let's get into the next category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is kills.
It would almost be a half a point, but I think like the impact of that kid's kill would go for a 1, like, because he was so like he was a good kid. Like it's a graphic kill on his part, and you see a decomposing body. It isn't. You don't see the death of the boy, but you see the boy alive, and then you see the decomposing body. And then the one kid that's like a fan favorite, like the sweet boy, gets his throat slit slowly, pretty much.
And you kill a kid. Like, so that has some impact versus killing an adult. So
I think that deserves a 1.
You kill a child.
Yeah, like it's such a kill, like where it's like I know it sounds weird, but like your kids can be in the room for certain kills. Like say if it's like Rambo is just taking out 100 people, those are 100 bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
And those aren't even like real people; they're like robot people. These are just premeditated people, or like just put here already, bad guys. But a character that you've grown to like throughout the movie and see his throat slit, and then it just kind of ends on a somber ending of like, yep, fuck you. That might get like some people.
He's still alive, not here, and kids alone.
Good night. So I'm gonna give that a 1. It was, right. It was. I like that.
Okay, just barely got to a 1, but a 1 it is. We round it up to a 1. Okay, so. That's 3 so far here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Let's get into the final 3-point category here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is fear.
Gonna need your help with this. I know you're kind of numb to it like I am. And my fiance's on the total opposite end of the spectrum where she gets afraid of her own shadow. Like a Disney movie might catch her like, oh, this is... Turn a light on. You know. So I don't know... It definitely keeps you on the edge of your fucking seat. And I'm a grown man, so, like, I'm an adult. That kept me on the edge of my seat. I'm not a teenage boy, so, like, I don't really fear the killer that much, although he did say to kill a family. I feel like this is right in the middle, like a 1.5. I don't know if I'm wrong.
I don't know. I'd go just a 1.
Just a 1?
I would go with just a 1. Good suspense in it, but there's only the only scary parts, if you would even consider scary, are the last 15 minutes of it almost.
Okay.
Just the fear, but it's a lot
true.
of it's a lot of anxiety and suspense in there. But then you have an unveiling of a decomposing body and a throat slit. Some people might find that scary. But it does have some eeriness to it, too, because the killer is still on the loose. There's no satisfying ending, and that might stick with somebody for a minute, you know, especially if he comes out of your attic. So there's some fear in there. I can see that, but, I mean, it's just a 1. Like, I mean, you know, most of this movie you can watch with anybody, practically.
I'll give you. I like that. I feel fair about that.
That's what I
so
would
we'll
say.
go 1.
Yeah. So that is
5?
4.
4, correct.
4 out of 10 so far here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating. Let's get on the last category for half a point each here on the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is rewatchability.
Not only do I find it rewatchable, I do think people would enjoy to watch this, come back and watch this one. This isn't a one and done. This is kind of a comfort movie. I almost feel like this one you could fall asleep to if you've watched it a million times. It's not like, as much as I love Evil Dead, that's not a movie you put on before bed. It is a loud movie.
Yes.
Evil Dead will fuck you up. You'll be sleeping, you'll be having some crazy ass dreams. So that's not a nighttime movie.
Yeah,
but this is a repeat for me.
Yeah, me too. Not the synthwave score in it is comforting. You know, good soundtrack and likable characters, good story, interesting, very story, mystery, and you definitely would want to watch it again. I'll probably watch it again. So
yeah.
So that is a total of 5 out of 10 for the summer of '84.
Middle of the road, right there in the middle of the road.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome. Guys, this is another movie we've covered, and here is what's going to happen. Here is what's going to happen. We want you guys to tune in each and every week to listen to this Road to Halloween, because this is what it's all about. We're getting jacked up for the season. I mean, we celebrate Halloween all year long, no matter what time it is, and we appreciate you for that. But folks, if you're new here, we will ask you to, just take a second to think. Haven't you appreciated this whole show without any fucking commercials?
See, you gotta think.
Here's the thing. There's no commercials on this show, and what we appreciate doing for you guys is not having that. Unless a sponsor lines up with us, we're not going to do it. We're not going to sell out for nickels and dimes. But what we do is have bonus content up on our Patreon. So if you're looking for a fun way to support the show and keep us advertisement free, that's where you can do it. Every week our seasons are going, we put out episodes up on our Patreon. They're, about whatever. We have fun with those. And, for less than a cup of coffee, you can support the show. So that's all we'll say about that. Also, the link is patreon.com/sloppyhorror. And you can find all our fun stuff there.
Just type it into Google. You'll find it.
Type it into Goggle. Goggle.com.
Just put it in that there answer machine, man.
You got one of them fancy internet machines in your home? Every time my wife got on that internet machine, damn race would turn off. So she ain't getting on there. Ain't no phone calls or nobody been able to call in. When she's on that internet machine, she's on the damn Buffy the Vampire Slayer chat room. Ain't that something? I reckon you ain't got you one of them internet machines. But we could have that. We could really have that. You know what I was thinking too? We could have a season one time where it's like, because so many people throw requests out there, but maybe to get them, do it via Patreon. Just our existing Patreons, they just all give us a movie. Or, if you're new, you could just, spend a fucking $1 so we can see your name pop up there in the messages and just be like, hey, I want this movie.
Hey.
I want to watch this movie.
The People's Choice.
People's Choice Awards.
That could be the next season, probably, because, we already did a rehab season last time after Halloween.
Rehabilitation.
Halloweener. Halloweener? That's not how you say it.
Let me see your Halloween.
Dude, you know what I saw a video of this dude doing? All right, so you know how people use licorice as straws?
Yeah.
You've done that before, right?
Sure.
Yeah. This psychopath took a hot dog at a ball game, stuck a straw through it to make a hole, and started drinking his beer through a hot dog.
I don't like that.
I don't know.
I don't like that.
Now, I guess not knock it till you try it, but it doesn't sound very appetizing.
No, it doesn't.
No, I think they should watch that guy. I think the neighborhood kids in that guy's neighborhood should be watching that guy's house because he is probably a serial killer.
Folks. Yeah, you're right. Folks. You only got a couple weeks of this warm weather left, so you go ahead and relish it. Or, you relish in it. You love it. You go out there, you soak in that vitamin D into your body. Because fall is nice. Everybody likes that. But eventually, the death of scraping your fucking windshield and dealing with all the horse shit and wearing 19 layers of clothes, it's coming. So you go outside, you play manhunt, you ride your bikes, okay? You find your local serial killers in your town, you set them up. Because you only got a couple weeks left to keep doing this. And then, trick-or-treat time. Also, as we approach, we're only bangers this season, but definitely only bangers for October.
Bangers. We're only hitting dingers here.
We're leaning in. We're leaning in this season. So
we ain't rocking with it, though. We just leaning. What the fuck was that?
Mark's breaking stuff in the studio.
I don't know what it was, man.
Mark, have you ever been on a journey with your friends to go find a dead body at the end of the train tracks?
No.
Okay.
There's no train tracks around here, so I never had that opportunity to do that.
All right. Have you and your friends ever dwelled deep in sewers to fight off an evil clown?
We have gone in sewers before, but you go eventually. You got to stop doing that because
yeah, the storm drains will get you.
Yeah, I know. It's very
scary.
I know.
Playing with your life.
I don't know why we did that.
Because we're stupid.
That's not a good idea just to go down through a storm drain. Like, we went like a mile like under the road and everything. Like, just to the point where you couldn't go any farther.
Picture having like a 15-year-old son, and he did everything you did. You'd beat him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would. Oh, yeah.
I'm just going to have to. I'm going to send him down there with Pennywise.
Oh, yeah.
Pennywise, take care of him. He's getting ornery.
No, boy, I'm telling you what, if I see a 15-year-old boy walking down the street, I'll trust that motherfucker.
Nope, he's spying
trust
on
him.
you. He's going in your house.
No, he's up to something no good. No kid that age is up to any good at 15. I don't trust any of them little fuckers.
Stealing porno mags.
You don't earn my trust till you're at least 27. Okay?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And if you do get it under that, like, you got to be like real respectful. You got to be like Tim Tebow about it. Just real, hi, how are you? Just like, wow, that's a good kid. He's a good kid. He's got a good future.
Nope. I don't trust it. It's all because we've done that. We have put on that face.
That's true.
When we were younger.
That's true.
We have done that to make people think you're good, but you ain't. I don't trust them at all. I don't trust any of them. Any teenager, I don't trust you. Okay?
The
I don't trust you.
summer of '84.
The summer of 8 with a 4 on the side. It's a good movie. You gotta watch it.
The summer of '84. That sounded better.
You really need to stop watching Peaky Blinders.
I get you.
It is ruining you.
Oi!
Stop doing that.
Me grandmum has diarrhea.
Do you just do that randomly now around the house just to piss off your woman?
Yeah,
Just
I
talk
mean,
like all the time?
I should. It's me.
I always talk to my animals in different voices.
Oh, you have
do
to.
that? Do you do that?
The cats are where you really ramp it up. I'll throw in robot noises.
Well, it's because the cats don't care. You could straight up yell at a cat. It has no emotion on its face. It could give a fuck.
Well, if you do like weird shit, cats give you the funniest faces. You could just... They're just like, the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like that.
You know, who the fuck said pss, 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 pss?
Cats always look like you just asked them for a ride to the airport. They're just... They just look...
Oh.
They do.
That's like the truest shit I've ever heard.
Church down here don't help. She does that mean mug, man.
Do. They always look mean.
She's like, what's wrong with you, cat? Folks, that's it. Summer of '84, 5 out of 10. You should have some fun with your life right now. Halloween's approaching. Let us know what you're going to be for old Halloweener. We want to know. All right, it's your pals here at the Sloppy Horror Podcast, and we're going to be back next week with what? With what? You don't know, but you will see. Have a good week, everybody.